Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood have been hit with a nearly $180,000 penalty for filing such a ridiculously false and frivolous lawsuit in the state of Michigan against the city of Detroit, trying to overturn their election results from 2020. The duo, allegedly, filed the lawsuit attempting to get all of Michigan's electoral votes awarded not to Biden, but switched over to Donald Trump because they claimed in the lawsuit that Michigan, Detroit specifically, there was too much fraud, too much screwiness, too many bad things happening, and therefore Trump obviously won. Now, they couldn't produce any evidence to suggest any of this, which is why the judge not only dismissed the suit, but has now come back and said, you're going to reimburse the city of Detroit all of their legal expenses. 78,000 is what the grand total comes to. So almost 180,000. And y'all are going to pay that back. The city shouldn't have had to defend themselves, hire lawyers, work on the actual case, because there was no actual case, but they had to spend the money, and you're now on the hook for that. So after this decision came down from the judge, both Powell and Wood separately said, we're going to appeal it. Right? We're not going to pay this money. But Lynn Wood may actually have a case that he shouldn't have to pay this money back. Because according to Wood, he wasn't actually involved in the case. Sidney Powell allegedly put his name on the lawsuit without his consent. So after they get smacked with a $180,000 fine, Lynn Wood comes out, throws Sidney Powell under the bus, and says, I had no idea what any of this is. I wasn't involved in it. I didn't act on it. She put my name there. I didn't want to be there. I've had to go through these hearings that you've appeared for. And of course, a couple times he has mentioned he wasn't supposed to be on the lawsuit. And Sidney Powell just kind of did her own little thing. So if Powell is telling the truth, which if you didn't work on a case, you should be able to prove that, there'd be documents, there'd be timestamps, there'd be meetings, there'd be minutes of those meetings, there would be records. I know, I've worked in a law firm for 17 years. I know how it works when there's of counsel people working on cases. There'd be records of it. There'd be flight records. There would be call logs. There would be all kinds of things that Lynn Wood could use to say, I wasn't involved in any of this. She put my name on this without my consent. Now, typically, I wouldn't believe a word that Lynn Wood has to say. However, his claims that she put his name on this lawsuit fraudulently have actually been somewhat validated by other news that has come out in just the past 4 or 5 days, showing that Sidney Powell did, in fact, put lawyers on lawsuits that they were not actually working on. In addition to, of course, listing plaintiffs for lawsuits that they didn't sign up for. So Powell has a history of doing this based on these reports, right? She has not been convicted of any of this. And if she is, of course, she could lose her law license because of it, which I believe that she should. So a week ago, I wouldn't have believed what Lynn Wood said. And I would have thought, of course, he's throwing her under the bus because he doesn't want to pay any money. But with these new reports added to it, it does lend credence to Lynn Wood being the one telling the truth here, in which case he shouldn't owe the money. If Lynn Wood wasn't actually involved in filing these cases, if he wasn't a part of any of the deliberations, no, you shouldn't owe a dime, and Sidney Powell should be the one hit with that $180,000 penalty for filing this fictitious lawsuit all by herself.